everybody. I hope you are super well. Welcome to episode 14 of Pardon Your French podcast with myself, Stephanie Lauren.
And Vanessa Sherlock.
So today, what are we talking about, Vanessa?
Well, we thought we might talk a little bit about destination weddings. Yes, I'm trying to get Steph into the wedding industry with me. I think it's a really cool group of people. Like, it's a really good community. We have so much fun during the summer, but we work our asses off.
Yeah,
it's really cool. And the wedding industry in France is incredible because French weddings are crazy too.
yeah,
I know we don't do them very often because destination weddings are kind of a different thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even French people from the north or cities and stuff want to come down here and have destination weddings. You know, the Dordogne, the department, is the land of 1,001 chateaux. And so that's like where all the gentry from Paris, you know, used to have their summer homes and stuff. And so we have a lot of those chateaux that got destroyed during the French Revolution, basically because they destroyed anything that was owned by the royal state, have now been purchased by expats.
Yeah.
And they're renovating them. And one of the best uses for these places is to turn them into wedding and event venues and stuff.
Yeah.
So you get in like a taste of what it would have been like to be in the court of Louis XIV and stuff like that. And it's really cool. You know, and there's different ages and eras of chateau as well. Like, I've done some in like Gothic medieval chateaus, and you do some that are like fairy tale chateau, and it's really cool.
Yeah. I think I love Auberterre because the monolith church, like, you get this like monk medieval historic vibe, and then when you're in Auberterre Square, you've got like the traditional French shabby chic sort of vibe, and then when you go to Longuevaux, it's like a more contemporary modern sort of style. And I love those different elements, but they all blend together. But yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm not romantic, you know this. I've never dreamed of getting married at all, but I love people that are into weddings. I love people that love love.
Yeah.
It's just not for me personally, but I love it. I buy into it, you know. So when I see people creating their weddings and stuff, I'm like, it's very exciting, and I'm really happy. So I mean, I've never planned a wedding, but how long? So if you wanted to get married in France, do you have to get married in England legally first? To then, so you're not actually getting married in France, you're just having the ceremony. So it looks like you're legit getting married.
Yeah. So you can't legally get married in France unless you've lived here for 4 months.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you have to be a resident to legally get married here, and the paperwork involved is quite extensive. I mean, we do real church weddings sometimes. So the monolith church in Auberterre is a monument. It's a national monument. It's not a real church anymore.
Right.
It's not a Catholic church. But the other church in Auberterre, the Catholic church, you can get married in that if you're Catholic. But there's, you know, you have to get approval from the diocese in your home country. You have to get approval from the diocese in France. Then you have to get like a bilingual priest. And you have to do all of the same processes that you would do if you were Catholic. So you do your like premarital counseling, and you have to have like a real church mass service. And it is really cool when the weddings that I've done, because those people, they're dedicated to that faith in their life and stuff. Fantastic. If you just want to come and have a party and get your friends to prove how much they love you by going to a different country to party with you, there's many places that you can do. The Monolith Church is unique in that unless you live in Auberterre, the way to get married in the Monolith is to go through Marry Me in France. They got the
exclusive contract then.
The exclusive agreement.
And okay. So you'd need to contact Marry Me in France.
Yeah.
And you would be allocated a wedding planner?
No, so you basically you go through like preliminary discussion to try and figure out who, where, when, all these things. So like the Monolith Church is just for the 30-minute ceremony, and we only have access to it between 12 and 2 because that's when they shut for lunch. So it's a special exception
Okay.
because it's open as a tourist destination. I believe that they also in July and August they don't shut at lunch, so you can't have a wedding in there on July line also. So bear that. I mean, generally, they're lower season anyway because it's summer holidays. But yeah, then you work with the Marry Me in France sales group, and they would help get to know you, get to know your budget and kind of what you're looking for, and then they would contact one of the planners who works independently from France,
Right.
and see if you're available, and then you'd meet with them, and then they'd see if you have if the vibe is right. Some planners like kind of stick around certain venues, so I tend to not travel very far. And I tend to just do on the day. So I used to do like the ahead of
Whole thing.
yeah, but I'm like, it's a lot. It's like, a year of getting to know a couple, and dedicating kind of a lot of yourself to that relationship that you're building with them to make sure that their day is perfect. And it wasn't really something that I could
sustain.
Yeah, it was difficult for me emotionally to invest so much into people, and then then that relationship ends. Like it's totally understandable because it's a service. You're being paid to provide a service, but you can't provide that service without getting involved with knowing the hearts of these people, because that's what you're doing. You're getting their love.
Yeah.
To be on display for all their friends and family. So
wow. I never would have thought that much kind of into it. I guess you can't be in that, like, I guess like a midwife, you get attached, don't you?
Yeah.
It's a very, and I'm not somebody that can just cut. If I invested, I'm like, oh no,
I'm the first one to touch that baby. I'll never see that baby again. It doesn't work. I would tell that. Yeah, you have after visits and stuff, but I mean, it's like you're building a friendship with a couple, and then when their wedding's over, it's like you shouldn't have any expectation necessarily of being their friend for life.
No.
You always have that, we'll always have parents that they
but romance.
But that's it. It's and so I'm an empath in that way. So struggled with it, but it's a lot of fun. Anyway,
you get to party a lot. So how many weddings on average do you do a year?
I do now between like 10 and 15. So it just kind of depends.
And what's the busiest months, I guess?
Ooh. Well, it's changing actually. Oh. I mean, maybe because of the heat as well. But like July, I don't have any weddings in July. I did request because I'm going back to the States. But so like April's become really popular because it's like kind of out of season. It's generally nice weather. Yeah, so lower pricing, but you're still usually getting good weather.
Hot.
Yeah, not so hot, but then it can also be cold,
rainy.
Yeah, so you get like a lot more September. October is becoming more popular as well.
So it is very seasonal. Yeah, it's a long season. You get two. So say somebody's watching this and going, "Oh my God, I can't wait to get married in France." How long we welcome you? How long do you have to plan to be able to get it booked? Is it like 2-3 years in advance?
Most couples, it's like a year, but some couples are like way ahead of the game and they'll do 2 or 3. But like it generally is a longer process, and it's just because like, say you get engaged right now, nobody can plan a wedding right now because we're all executing weddings from this year. So like there's a huge section of the season where like wedding planners don't have any time because they're busy doing wedding.
Oh, that's really important.
Well, it's like wintertime then becomes the like, you know, planning the season. And then you have to, you know, you want to come and taste the food. You want to choose your wines. You want to meet your suppliers, whatever, photographers or whatever.
So the wedding, so people got engaged then, and then they'd come out on a little bit like a mini holiday to get to meet the wedding planner,
choose the
venue and things like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, so it gives you a chance to like do a little bit
of a
recce. Yeah.
Always check out what local supermarkets are available where petrol stations are, because you know, sometimes they are so rural. You know, you don't want to run out of fuel.
Well, a huge one that I always say is like go to the venue or check out the venues in the season that you're planning your wedding.
Yeah, not out of season where it doesn't look so pretty.
Well, even if it's like you're going to get married in September, don't go visit in April because everything looks the same thing. So in April, none of this Virginia creeper was on the building. In September, all this Virginia creeper will be like lovely burgundy pudding.
Yeah, they're all mine. Comes out at the end of April, beginning of May, and I bought the house in the December. When I moved it, I literally cried as I drove down driveway. I was like, this house doesn't look like it did when I viewed it. Massive error on my part. And then the owners at the time were like, don't worry, it comes back in April. And I was like,
and then being it back for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
The what's the other one that always surprises me? Oh, flowers. So like, you know, brides a lot of times get their heart set on a certain floral arrangements. Like, no, flowers are seasonal too. It's like you can't magic up peonies in September. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's thinking about things like that, the colors and all those things, they all play in.
You know, obviously weddings are crazy, and obviously we get loads of Irish weddings over into fun, and they're always so fun, and like Baby Guinness and stuff is always like an absolute favourite, isn't it? Yeah. And it's funny how every culture has like a different drink that they all go for.
Absolutely. And different years, you know, every year there's a
new trend,
popular drink or whatever, you know. And some of them are like they've stuck around because it's hot weather. G&Ts are really popular.
So we're currently having gin and tonic right now, a Copper Cock gin and tonic. Actually,
it is early, but we are like whatever.
And it was damn hot, because you know, but we got plenty of ice in there. Oh, actually, ice when it comes to ice cubes. So in here we've got like the little plastic ones that you can just so if you can bring those across from wherever you're traveling,
like bring your enormous suitcase full of ice cubes.
Just honestly, just a constant flow of those, I think, is a really good thing. But yeah, we've got a Copper Cock gin and tonic because why not?
Yeah,
we love it.
I mean, it's great as well because like a lot of the venues are chateaus, right? And they are equipped to be wedding venues to the extent that like they've got, you know, running water and cooking facilities and things like that. But then sometimes they are pretty bare bones as far as what's available. You know, we were joking about the dry toilet in your village commune. I mean, but some venues, you know, it's like you've got 150 people, you've got 3 toilets. That's all you need. And you're like, really? Is that all you need for
different standards for different people as well? Because I guess Americans are so used to like comfort, excess, luxury, and then come here and go, say what now?
Yeah. We had guests once that the parents wouldn't get out of their car because the couple's parents would not get out of their car because they're from the US, they're older, and they just sat in the car with the air conditioning on all day. They wouldn't get out because they're so uncomfortable. And it's like we get it, like we live here, we sleep like you don't let any skin touch any other skin. And you know, on Saturday night I got home from the wedding and jumped straight into my swimming pool at 10 o'clock at night, and I do that pretty much every Saturday night that I have a wedding because it's just the only way to cool down quickly, you know.
But
other than jumping in a cold shower,
easing yourself into the pool and just
easing. I just go.
Do you? Oh no! See,
no, that's
so bad for your body to go from like extremely hot to extremely cold.
I don't care. It feels amazing.
Yeah, I do have. I still have
dreaming about it all day.
That thought of just getting into that pool, even in the car on the way home, and you're like 10 minutes away. That 10 minutes feels like an hour and a half. away because you just know how good it's going to feel. And then once you've cooled down at that on that evening and you're just slid under a fan, it's not too horrendous then.
I had a really hot wedding on Saturday. For those of you who check out our social media, yeah, it was like 37 degrees all day, and we were outside all day because, you know, people think a destination wedding means you have to be outside in the sunshine. And so the backup plan is often not very good for a hot day. It's like people think, oh, it's nice, I want to eat outside. But really, it's like, no, you're going to die. It's so
They're
hot.
thinking it's more May temperatures.
Yeah, like we would think like springtime, like if it's 22 degrees, it can still be really hot to do a whole day outside.
Yeah.
But it's lovely. Whereas as soon as it gets above 25, it's like, you know, especially people coming from the UK and Ireland, it's like you're just having like a lobster cookout. Everyone's turning as red as possible, so it can be a little bit you know, interesting. Yeah, to like work that dynamic a lot of times is tricky because you don't want to like dash some bride's dream of having her like amazing rustic French outdoor wedding with all the parasols and the lights and all that, but like the practicalities of it
Okay,
to her.
so let's dive into the Instagram versus reality sort of destination weddings. So for anyone wishing to get married in France, because obviously you deal with it every year, you can give some amazing hints and tips to people, whether you're a bride, a groom, or a guest.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got you know, elderly people visiting as well to be part of the wedding party, or kids.
Yeah.
There's lots of extra things that you need to pack or precautions that you need to take to make sure you are safe and healthy, but also having fun.
Yeah.
And not stressing, because weddings are meant to be fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, everyone always, and everyone, but people tend to have a really amazing time, and I can't tell you the number of times that guests have come to us and said, "This is the best wedding I've ever attended," because that's what it's about. It's about making sure that your guests enjoy their time, and if it's really hot, they don't. If it's really cold, they don't. If it's, you know what I mean. If it feels like a long day, it's not. You're not doing something. You're doing something wrong. You know what I mean. And so, yeah. I mean, obviously, we always say sunscreen, and now with like the regulations on flights and things like that, it's like people go, "Ooh, I'm not going to bring any liquids. I'll just get them when I get there." And destination weddings like this, you don't know where you're going. You're in the middle of nowhere. How are you going to get to a store?
What supermarkets are available? So you would say research, if you're coming as a guest or something, just research the area that where you're staying, what supermarkets there are, because obviously just because you're in a wedding here, a lot of people are on holiday here, so things like sunscreen, you know, do sell out.
Yeah,
you know,
somewhat.
yeah. But I go on to find some, and I'm like, how is it?
Oh, they know it's great.
Like, yeah,
Those don't wear
and like the ice situation. I learned year one.
Yeah, or refrigerated drinks. So one thing that Simon like could never get his head around was that you can't buy refrigerated drinks here.
Yeah,
like if you go to buy a pack of beer, you can't drink them right away. You have to wait for them to then get cold. So, yeah, ice is a big one. And the supermarkets will have a stock of bags of ice. But like on wedding days, I've totally been sent out on a wedding day to go get more ice from the supermarket and bought it all.
Yeah.
You know, and you just say that and you feel guilty as you're loading it in. You're feeling super guilty. Like the store doesn't have any more ice and I'm the cause. But yeah, like it's different, you know, like from the US, every supermarket has like a massive freezer full of bags of ice at the front of the store, especially in summertime. Even like gas stations have it. So out here,
that you dig it out.
Yeah, so even
like hotels
out here, it's like the fact that ice then becomes kind of more difficult to come by is always surprising to people. You know, when you're stopping in a Gîte and you've got like one of those tiny little mini fridges that doesn't have any
freezer,
like proper freezer to it and stuff like that. So it's important to kind of know, especially so like this last weekend, I was talking about children, and the worry that you have for small children because they don't have a developed nervous system yet to cope with the extreme temperatures if they're not used to them. And so, like, the couple this weekend that I worked with, they had actually rented an air conditioning unit just for the building that the kids were going to be in. And the kids were inside all day, well, most of the day and stuff like that. But that is a huge worry as a parent. If you're bringing your kids somewhere like this and it's a fluke, once a year heat wave,
Yeah.
it can be really dangerous if you're not prepared. If you don't have food to replenish their electrolytes that they're losing faster than you or I would and things like that. It's really,
You can get the sachets. So like in England, when I went on holiday, I used to go to Boots and just get the little electrolyte, the salt replacement sachets. So if you can you bring those over?
Yeah, they sell them in powder too. Like a lot of health food stores and stuff have like a powder pods, which are probably easier to get through Air Forces. Cut up in the Air Force. Yeah, so just chucking that in some water. It's a super American thing, but to like have a water bottle that you can fill with tap water, which is totally drinkable where we are.
Yeah. But also to freeze it.
Yeah.
So the like when you're young and you have like the ice drinks.
Yeah.
Carter's started having those recently, so I just put a little bit of fruit juice in and just freeze it so we can drink it. So throughout the day, Carter's going on a school trip on Thursday to Arcachon, to the sand dunes and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, how do I make sure he's got enough to eat, stuff that's not going to go off or warm, and stay hydrated throughout the day because they're not allowed to take monies.
No, especially kids who might be picky eaters.
Yeah.
I know CJ's a bit of a picky eater, so it's like making sure that he's still going to want to eat whatever you send with him by the time it gets warm or by the time it's been in his lunchbox all day or whatever.
Yeah.
And the same applies, like, if you're bringing kids to a wedding and making sure that they've bought
edible snacks that don't turn into mush or soggy or warm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They were begging us for food on Saturday because the kids had eaten their lunch and then didn't have anything until after the caterers had made their dinner, which, there's a gap in time there. There's not a lot, like snacks laying around at wedding venues, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, which is
that are kid appropriate. But
yeah.
You pay you're as a wedding couple, you're paying for, canapes and fancy things that if kids aren't going to eat them because they're picky, then you have to think, okay, well, what can children eat?
What can I bring?
We sent them to the garden. We're like, there's raspberries. Go get, send them to pick raspberries. But not all venues have, a lush garden like the venue that we were at on Saturday. So
yeah. So it's I guess like tips and hints would be like to be super organized because it takes the pressure off, and actually you can kick into the moment and be present at the wedding without worrying, oh my god, I've run out of, or I haven't got enough of, or what do I do?
Yeah.
If you get hints and tips that you can put into practice.
Yeah. And I also think it's important for the couple to have people that they can rely on to be the information instead of them being the information. Like, nothing ruins a bride's day more than having some mom coming up to her in the middle of her wedding and being like, my kids are starving because I didn't prepare. Or my husband is passed out because he drank too much and he's by the pool and it's too hot. It's like, look after yourself,
So alcohol then is obviously weddings are huge celebrations, everybody drinks and it carries on from the toast, doesn't it? So I have seen people at weddings getting like smashed by the time the actual ceremony's even started. So make sure you drink water. If you are drinking alcohol, drink water in between every alcoholic drink. And in the heat, when you drink alcohol, I think it makes you get drunker so much faster, and your what would you say? Like, your inhibitions obviously are lowered, and there are swimming pools in these big chateaus and fancy places where people come here to get married, and your safety is paramount. And obviously a venue makes sure that people can't get in and out and expect. I've seen people climbing fences, and all sorts happens at weddings.
On a hot day as well, it's like, people just figure like there's nowhere else to get cool. That's one thing. We've had couples that are from the US that have air conditioning, in the US. When it gets hot, you can always go somewhere with the AC. There's no air conditioning out here. It's such a rare thing to be somewhere where there's air conditioning units. I mean, the staff, everyone is dripping in sweat. It's not a comfortable experience, really. But I always feel horrendous for the men.
Yeah.
And in the 3 feet
the sky or the,
And so, like, even when I meet couples, a lot of times we talk about, the women tend to be better off because dresses are flowy and, you can show a little skin. But guys will be in long sleeve shirts, vests.
It's a lot. So maybe think about what you're actually going to wear.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe have an outfit for photos and things like that, and try and get your photos done before the actual carnage starts.
Yeah.
So you're all smart and you're really happy with your photos, but then you can take off your jacket, maybe have a spare set of clothes with you so you can change into those for comfort.
Yeah.
You've got to think.
Yeah, I mean, same with shoes.
Long day.
Like shoes.
Oh God, shoes.
Kill me at weddings because all the venues out here have gravel.
Yeah.
Because that's the look people are going for. That rustic chateau look is like the massive gravelled courtyards and things like that. And so we say block heels or wedges for women.
Yeah. And maybe a pair of trainers that they can hide under their dress.
Flip-flops or whatever. But the guys usually, they get by in that way, but they're struggling with their suits. And the women are always like losing their shoes left, right, and center. It was cracking me up on Saturday because obviously it's 37 degrees outside. All the staff are all dressed head to toe in black. Because that's what we wear for weddings and stuff. I wasn't. I was like, I can't do that. I'll die. I did have a black dress in the car, but I didn't change into. And everyone is like dying from the heat, and all the staff are running around like crazy. And obviously, we're uncomfortable. We're in the sun all day long and stuff like that. And the dedication of all the staff involved in the weddings out here is incredible, and I'm always so grateful as a planner when I'm there.
Yeah.
The caterers, you got to imagine like it's 37 degrees outside, plus ovens,
You've got to love what you do and to love weddings and people to be in that game, because it is intense hard work.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the idea of a French destination wedding is, they're very fancy, aren't they? And they are stunning. I mean, all the wedding locations I've ever seen or been to, I'm like, wow.
And like when you say difference between like Instagram weddings and weddings here, it's like, no, that's kind of
the look.
What we're trying to do
is
provide that look, because that's what people want now.
Yeah, they pay for.
Yeah, brides and grooms like that, they will bring us
their idea
from Instagram or from Pinterest and oftentimes we get requests for things based on the fact that they've seen it at that venue in a previous wedding.
Inspiration. That's cool.
Instagram or on TikTok or whatever. So
I remember was it the Indian wedding at Longevo?
Yeah.
And somebody wanted to ride in on it.
They wanted to ride an elephant.
It wasn't it?
And it was like, where do you think we were going to get an elephant in France? We're like, we can decorate a tractor. Did they end up using the tractor?
Yeah, the bride was. No, it wasn't a horse. The bride and groom came down on a tractor, like a fancy,
as their elephant thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they used the little 3-wheel Vespa thing that Philippe drives around, as well as like it was all decorated, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just looked amazing. It was so colourful and so different.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really, and I remember one wedding they had this band. Oh my God, I was at the back and I heard this music start and I was like, where's that coming from? So I ran into the bar and I was like, oh my days, this like...
Are you not talking about Pandas?
I can't remember the name of it.
It was like a rambling brass band.
Yeah, they were just like crazy. It was
So, and they were dancing in the bar.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my wedding. Yeah, so the couple was supposed to have the New York brass band, it was because of COVID, their wedding got pushed back twice. And the second time it got pushed back, their band actually was booked to play Glastonbury that date, and they couldn't share. So they recommended, the New York brass band said, oh, we know these guys in France that do the same thing we do. They're really cool. You should get them instead. So we booked them. And that's another one of those weddings that people saw that wedding and how cool it was.
Yeah.
And they booked the band because of how cool the videos were. And it was like mental. They had their wedding at the Monolith in Aubeterre.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then the band surprised the guest when the couple came out.
Oh.
And then played them up into the square, and then played in the square. And it was crazy because usually when you have like musicians during the drinks reception, you know, Van d'honneur is what they call it, in France, they play on the side and the girls like round drink and like hang out and chat and talk about the wedding. And they didn't. They had like set this band up under this canopy thing to play. And all the guests just went over there and were dancing the whole time.
Yeah.
And so when they got back to the venue, we were like, well, normally we would put you under the trees over here. And they were like, yeah, but like the vibe is really good and all the guests are really into it. Do you mind if we just play in the bar, which we never, ever do? And we set it up and the videos were incredible.
Yeah.
The bride and groom were just like fucking covered in sweat.
Yeah.
And the groom came to me after. He goes, I really wish we'd taken the group shots before this because now look at us.
Yeah.
Like, he goes, we're wrecked, but it was such a good party. They just they made it so much fun. Yeah, that
vibe was something I hadn't seen actually at a wedding before. And I was like, this is my kind of music and
they were really, and the musicians were really nice. They're a group out of Toulouse. They're called Panda's Cover Gang.
Oh, okay.
So they do like modern covers, but as a brass band. So it's like kind of like a New Orleans style.
New Orleans, that was it. That was the vibe. I was like, where's that coming from? And it started playing Beyonce, and I was like, oh my God, it was great. But do you know what? The guests had such a fabulous time, and everybody joined in. It was like that moment in time, and you're like, that is the wedding's secret.
Yeah, but that was the vibe as well. Like, because they were in the bar, all the bar staff were into it. Like a lot of times, the guests are having their party, and the rest of us are doing our jobs and out of it. And it was so much fun. I just remember we were like dancing behind the bar when we got a chance to, and it was a great day. That
absolutely,
that was the day after the storm as well.
Was it after?
Yes, the day after. Yeah.
Yeah. I do now. Yes, I do. But it was almost like a rebirth kind of moment in that wedding. It was, you know, we'll never forget it, let alone the bride and groom and the guests will just never forget it. It was absolutely epic. So, yeah. Do you know what I'd say? Go on social media, look in France for recommended bands and musicians, and you know, people have singers, don't they? And you know a lot more than me, like all the musicians here in France that get booked for weddings, and it depends on what style wedding, but you know somebody that's got that element to each different.
Absolutely. I mean, and like, you know, because I work with Marry Me in France, they have like a lot of contacts with a lot of musicians, suppliers and stuff from all over the country. And so sometimes you get a band that's not from your area to come. Like Toulouse is, you know, a few hours away. 3.
In my head, it's 6.
Her French geography is not great. We're working on it.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's a funny thing to think, you know, you go from, it's not a big change to go from the UK and having been to weddings in the UK to going to France, but there's like just little things, little tips and tricks that like really make your experience more pleasant.
Yeah. And I think that's what you want to get across in this episode, how it can help you have a really pleasant experience. If you are getting married, or congratulations, you've got engaged and you're thinking of a destination wedding, just let us know and we can give you a bit more of an insight, I guess.
Yeah.
All of it is achievable in France. And everybody works incredibly hard to make it like the most epic day of your life.
Yeah, so
if you want to get married,
cheers to anyone who's been engaged and is seeking to get married.
Westing you, we salute.
Congratulations.
And if you want any gin for your wedding, let us know, because we could do that for you. And just let us know. So follow us on social media. We are there everywhere. subscribe on YouTube, because that definitely gets our numbers up, and we can't believe the numbers that are coming through from like Spotify and Audible and Amazon Music. It's now like officially in 16 countries and over 132 cities, which is mental, because we're only like episode 14 now. So we just want to say thank you. We are putting together a Pardon Your French cocktail, which is very exciting, and that will be launched hopefully in the next month, ready for summer,
hopefully in the swimming pool.
So I come up with the cocktail. And we're very excited. So thank you again for all your support, and we love you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.